This Colin James, my friends, his 21st album. This is it. Right. Let me get my thumb out of the damn way. Another, another, another great shot from James O'Meara.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's the best. We're also really good friends, and he's done so many album covers for me now. But between him and Kate, they're such a great artistic team.
And so this, I noticed that this album, which is all laid out beautifully, like so, and like so, is done by them as well. So we just thumbs up to those guys because
excellent.
Maybe the best shot ever taken to me was by James O'Meara. Actually, you know what? He walked in at my 50th birthday party and handed me a shot of myself and Janis Joplin.
Oh, isn't that great?
He took it. I have no idea how he took it, where he took it, what the occasion was, but it's the only one I got.
Isn't that fantastic?
Oh, man.
It's fantastic. I know what he's been doing it his whole life, man. He had a show the other day where he was showing cities that he's been to over the years. It's just fascinating. He's a very artistic person.
Another friend that you have is Colin Linden. We share musically, Colin Linden. And let me take you back. Let me see if I can remember this. I wrote it down here somewhere. You were 13 and he was 17. And the first time you met was at the Regina Folk Festival. He actually knows the date, April 1977.
Crazy. Yeah.
And your mom was running a crafts booth. And you were sitting beside playing a Yamaha acoustic. And he said, "Who's this kid playing a Yamaha acoustic?"
Right. Well, to this day, I think Yamahas actually are the best campfire guitar. They're that perfect guitar you don't have to care too much about. You can kind of thrash around and leave in a corner, but they're actually, for what they were pretty good. I'm surprised I was playing that guitar. I guess I hadn't got my Sachin yet, because I got a Sachin in 77, which is a handmade guitar from Regina. So my parents at that point obviously knew that it was pretty important to get me into something that was going to be better, because I guess they had a premonition maybe I might not be finishing school. But I remember the day clearly, because he was the talk of the festival, Colin.
Yeah.
He was about 16. I was 13. He was 16 or 17. And everyone was talking about this wonder kid who could play with, and he was he was phenomenal back then, Colin. And he was so friendly, and he came up and I was playing because I wanted to kind of people to see I could play. I think I was, at the food booth selling cookies or something, but I was also playing. And he said, "Hey man, you got a great sound on that." And I went, "Oh, thank you. What's your name?" "Colin." And then of course we had an immediate, I don't think I met another Colin before I met Colin Linden, to be honest with you. Anyway, we've been friends forever and ever. This is our 5th or 6th record, maybe 6th.
6th album that you worked together. You're co-writing, you're co-producing. It's a great working partnership. It's wonderful. Doesn't happen very often. Let me take you back to that 13-year-old Colin for just a second. What were your dreams then? Because 13-year-olds can dream anything they want. What did you think?
Well, by 10, I was already playing. By 10,
yeah.
I by 11 and 12, I started digging in. And by 13, I was starting to play a lot. And well, my mom and dad bought what would have been a very expensive guitar for me that year in 77. I think it cost $300 or $400, which would have been like $1,002 in today's money, probably, or more. And I still have the guitar now. It's not in here right now, but I still have it. I just wanted to play, and seeing a guy as young as Colin doing exactly what I wanted to do was like catnip for me, man. I was like, oh yeah, for sure, So that's it. I think I think I knew I wanted to play pretty early on, and it wasn't a question of fortune and fame or anything. I just wanted to do it. I wanted to do that, and I'm
Had you
so
seen somebody? Had you heard somebody that said, "I want to do that"?
well. I Mom and Dad took me to like all kinds of concerts. Bruce Coburn. I probably saw Coburn by the time I was 12 or 13 three times. Um, Taj Mahal I saw when I was pretty young. Sonny Terry, Brown and McGee I saw when I was 8. The Regina Folk Festival had a lot of people coming in. Roy Forbes would come in. You know, all kinds of players. So, and then Mom and Dad would occasionally take me to a jazz club, like just to see a real jazz band. And it wasn't my favorite, which now I love, by the way. But I remember thinking, wow, like, listen to these guys solo. Like, do they write that solo down, or are they just riffing? Because wow, is that ever complex? So I think I was just mesmerized by the whole thing, and I pretty much knew what I wanted to do.
So one of your dreams was not to play a Saturday night at the Peony.
Well, I hadn't got that far. No, it was really at that point. Your dreams are pretty small. Can I get a? I think the first time I saw my name in print was I got a workshop at the Winnipeg Folk Festival when I was like, oh man, 80 was it 84? Or no, it was earlier. Can't remember now.
No.
And that was a big deal for me. That was a half an hour workshop at 3:30 in the afternoon, and that was it. That's all I played the whole festival. But for me, that was huge, you know. Doesn't take much for a kid to get.
For you to see Taj Mahal at that age is that's just a gift. That's a gift.
Yeah, yeah.
Gift. Watch this. Watch this. This will draw you in. It'll take you away. It's fantastic. A couple of things. It was this date, August 17th, 1959, that Miles Davis released Kinda Blue.
Oh my God.
But that's just, that's the jazz album, the best-selling jazz album ever. And so
he would disparage it personally. Miles Davis would say, "Oh, like he kind of wasn't his thing or something," or like I don't know if that was just, but man, I listen to that record so much, it's insane. I love that record. John Coltrane. I didn't realize it was Coltrane for years. I didn't realize it was John Coltrane on that record. I should have known.
My hook to it was, well, because I was playing trumpet then, was Miles, of course, but it was Cannonball Adderley. Cannonball Adderley was the man for me.
Yeah.
He spoke to me. That was what I was looking for. Anyway,
I listen to him now a lot, actually. Yeah. Cannonball.
You're playing the Peony tonight. That's fantastic. That's a great gig, and people are going to love that. They're going to love that. They're going to love that.
Yeah, I mean, I really love it when it's outside at the Peony. I love that gig, and it was a bit of a drag to hear that it was going to be inside this year because they're constructing the new stage. But
now, are you going to be interested in seeing the Robert Plant Ellison Krauss show as it passes through?
I saw them last year in Memphis. Okay. I was down there playing Beale Street a festival down there, and we all walked down and saw it. I love those records. Believe me, I love those records. But I gave my ticket to my daughter. I had a ticket. And my daughter's never seen Ellison Krauss and loves her. And when I got the ticket, I said, "Oh, I know who my daughter's got to see Ellison Krauss, man." So she's going.
Yeah, you would have had a defining moment because you and Plant and many others, but you and Plant in particular, would not let the business of music tell you who you should be to the business of music. I know for a fact, I mean, just watch you grow. They would have come along, managers or labels would have come along and said, if you were just like Clapton, if you moved in that direction, you could just fly. I know for a fact you had, no, I'm going in this direction. I'm going down that road right there. And I know the road changed from time to time, but I admire you for saying, this is who I am. This is who I'm going to be, and not being drawn along by other elements.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a choice that you make because you kind of have to, what else do you have if you don't have your, if you can't sound out your own, what you need musically? Like you've got to make sure you're growing. I guess it would be easier to to do some kind of cookie cutter record that fits everyone's image of what you are, or what they think you are, or what have you. But it's got to come from inside, and you got to keep growing. And I have to say that every decision I've made over the years where I got pushback initially from the business was where I grew every single time. And not just me musically, but my career grew in ways that I never would have. Like National Steel, when that record came out, nobody wanted it, and I went ahead and did it on my own. And then eventually they came to a little bit and paid me back the money. They didn't count it as a record on my contract, which they should have, because it sold well and won a Juno. But at the time they were like, okay, we'll pay for it, but here's your little acoustic record. Good luck. And then next thing you know, I'm playing folk festivals in between John Prine and John Hyatt. And if I hadn't made that record, there's no way that would have happened.
Yeah.
So you never know what's coming down the path, and you just never know.
One of my Colin James, by the way, this new album is Chasing the Sun. It's his 21st. This is a remarkable album, remarkable songwriting, and really, really good storytelling. But at the basis of it is just this lock arms, let's go. You pull us along with you. And you have some friends beside, I mean, Lucinda Williams, for one. You and Colin, the two Collins, have a mutual friend in Lucinda Williams. Why did you want it? What were you thinking the first time you did harmonies with her in the studio on her song?
Well, when I first had to sing it, she was on the couch in the listening room, and I didn't know she was coming over that early, and I hadn't even sung the song yet because it was a late choice for us. Protection was a last minute kind of. We were going to do a song of hers that was much more quiet, much more really played down and sad. And I think we decided we needed tempo. So Colin phoned me one morning and said, "What about Protection? Do you know it?" I said, "I think I know it." And we listened to it. I said, "Oh, I think it'll be awesome." But I hadn't sung it yet. And there's a lot of words you got to get in on that song. I need protection from the enemies of kindness and this and that. And then next thing you know, I had to sing it in front of her, which I never had any chance to really get my head. But anyway, it was fine. And the next day, she wasn't even going to sing on it. We'd gotten together for dinner that night. We had a nice dinner with her and her husband. And then the next day she came over and just went in and started singing. And that was the end of it. So it ended up being a duet. So it's so exciting. And I'm a big fan. So for me, it meant everything. Like, she is something else. I read her book recently, and just her, just her penchant for knowing what good writing is through her dad, who was a professor, and just her. She's got to be one of the top Americana writers of the last. Well, she's really in a class of her own.
She played up at Doug Cox's Vancouver Island Music Festival.
Yeah,
ripped him up and had a permanent smile on her face, which was
nice
from her life. She was a pretty dark character for quite a while. She has found her joy in her heart.
Yeah, oh, for sure. She's had a couple setbacks. She had a stroke a few years ago.
I know,
but she's super interesting and nice person.
Charlie Musselwhite. Had you crossed paths with him many times?
No. Growing up, I remember playing a club years ago and us all running down across town to see if we could catch the last few notes of Charlie Musselwhite. He's been this kind of legendary name. And when I started playing those blues cruises, he's on some of those. And I met his wife because she sells his merch on those things and stuff. But he's interesting. He's in that movie. He's in that the Osage in that what's the movie called again? I can't think of the name offhand. Damn it. Anyway, yeah, it was amazing, and having him play with me was especially on a John Hammond song. I'm also a big John Hammond fan. And, yeah, and I never mind doing a John Hammond song. I feel that guy's one of my I'm a huge fan of
And you
John's.
strip that one down. Come to find out, you stripped it down. Just the two Collins and a Charlie.
That's right. Yeah. And I found on my last 3 or 4 records, I've had an acoustic song, and I'm always surprised at how much they get played. Like, you wouldn't think, like Riding in the Moonlight off Blue Highways. I think I'm at like 6 million Spotify plays on that song or something insane. And it's all it is a little acoustic shuffle, but there's a place for that, and people love their acoustic blues. So I always put one on every record these days.
Before I forget, you just reminded me of something. They're doing a documentary on Jeff Healey, as you know. Were you interviewed for it?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
When's the last time you saw that Much Music gig that we did? You, me, and Jeff. In
Not that long. People send it to me all the time. I know, it was a trip, eh? Oh, no, it's awesome though. I mean, where else would him and I play the Cats and the Fiddle song? Like, I mean, where would that have happened?
and you're telling each other where the changes, where the chord changes, and as you well know, the man couldn't see, but he could hear you.
Oh yeah,
fantastic.
oh yeah. He'd always. Sometimes I'd walk up to him and just stand beside him at a bar or a table, and he'd go, "Hey, Colin." I go, "What? How? What?" So I don't know how he'd do that.
I did an interview with Robert Finley at the Edmonton Folk Festival, and he's legally blind. I said, "Wait a minute, I read that you drive to the store." He said, "Yeah, but it's only 2-3 minutes. I know where I'm going."
Oh, okay. Well, we might tell me what time he's driving, and I won't go out. I'm kidding.
And I got a chance to see Robert Plant, Alison Krauss, and it was just an amazing concert. Anyway,
I bet, yeah.
Open your
The
mind.
fiddle player. What
Sorry?
about that fiddle player? The fiddle player who does that kind of
Man.
Middle Eastern Istanbul.
Yeah.
He did that? Oh my guy shreds. It's insane.
Open Your Mind. I'll just move along here. Open Your Mind, written by yourself and Tom Wilson. You do write well together, don't you?
We've written a lot. I think we're at 35, 36, maybe more songs. I just actually was out there writing with them. We've done a lot. And that one was funny because we wrote that 3 years ago. And I'm looking through my writing book and I see the song. And I went, "What is that?" It says, "Open Your Mind." And I'm like, "Open your mind." And then I went, "Oh, wait a second." And then I remembered it. I sent it to Tom and said, "Hey, do you remember this?" He said, "I don't know why you're saying that. What is this?" I should have said nothing. Bye. But I didn't. But yeah, it was fun. And that song was but we had the McCrary sisters singing backups on that. And, the band I had, Colin did a session with Darryl Jones and Charley Drayton, a few years back. And so he retained a friendship. I've known a bit of the Stones camp because I opened up for 3 Stones shows, and I used to open up for Keith on the Take It So Hard tours years ago, but I never met Charlie. And wow, what a great player, and what a great guy. I mean, he's just a really thoughtful drummer. He's Keith Richards' favorite drummer in the world. He'll always tell anybody. So anyway, it was a real pleasure to catch up with him. And Darryl Jones, here's a guy, Miles Davis for years, Sting, the Stones for the last 20 or more.
First chair guy.
And and again, just like easy going, always ready to work and ready to talk and ready to go have a nice dinner out. And it was a pleasure. Colin's studio is right behind his house in Nashville. So it's like my bed was like my guitar station was right at the end of my bed. So I'd wake up, go grab a coffee, and pretty much stay where I was, and everyone would file in and off we'd go. But it was a trip, and it was so nice to see that how down to earth all those guys were.
You did cover, Colin, one of my all-time favorite songs by Paul Butterfield.
Oh, no way. You knew that song.
In My Own Dream, when we first started underground radio at what became CFOX, it's 67, 68. And we played it. Everybody played it. We just all played it. We kept playing it over and over and over again. It
I
was,
didn't know that. I mean,
I love.
I had never heard it.
I won't play it on any of the others. I put the vinyl on the turntable. Play it, pops and all.
Oh wow! You know, I'm familiar with Paul Butterfield, more of the blues guy. You know, doing got my mojo working, or you know. So I was driving in my car one day, and the song came on a playlist, and I went, "Who's this? What a weird song!" I remember just thinking, "That's not blues. Who is this?" And Paul Butterfield, like, what? Because it doesn't sound like a what should be a Paul Butterfield song necessarily.
He took grief.
And
he took grief from the critics then because he had they claimed he had turned away from his blues audience. It was just him expanding, just stepping out.
Right. Well, that sounds like a song. It sounds like a pretty personal song for him.
Yeah.
If you listen to the lyrics, it sounds like he was finding himself, And no, and I listened to it. I was actually on my way to a gig. I was driving up Vancouver Island on the way to the ferry to play a show on Powell River. And that song came on, and I just went, And I just put it up there, and I got to Nashville, and I played it to Colin one day. I said, "Have you ever heard this weird Paul Butterfield song?" He said, "No." And we stewed on it, and then eventually he phoned me one morning from the house and said, "Colin, we should do it. It's got in my head now." And I love that one. That's one of my favorite on the record, just because it's got interesting changes, and we kept it really simple with the two guitars and a mandolin.
I like the Colin response. You dampened it down a bit. You didn't know it wasn't the whole of the band singing back to you, but enough voices that you were trading in my own. Yeah. I mean, I just love it. I'm going to play.
I'm glad. I'm glad you knew it.
Till the cows come home.
Great.
Fantastic. This song Kills Hate. That's the sign that's on the Blackie and the Rodeo Kings at the back of the stage, right? This band kills hate. So
it's that sign, and it's also Woody Guthrie had written on his acoustic guitar, this guitar kills fascists.
That's right.
So that's the root of the phrase. Blackie uses that as their backup. I was writing with Tom and two of the Truths, and we just thought, wouldn't that be, in this time we have these days of so much, division and whatnot. So it just seemed like a timely song, and I wanted to have a rocker with that had a bit of an abandon to it, and Charley Drayton's who you want drumming on a song like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You don't want to put wire brushes in his hand. You want to
yeah.
I love I'm Still Alive. I love Crystal Ball. I love Too Far Gone, written by committee almost.
Well, that was written by a host of us, yeah. But it was Terra Lightfoot. She always is a great presence in a room, man. Terra's wonderful. She's a lovely person and a really hardworking writer. When you work with Terra, it's like she's just great. And the background singer on that, Ruby Amanfu. Oh, my dog. Do you mind? My dog's barking to get in.
It's okay.
Come on, Annie. Come on, Ann. Ruby Amanfu is a great singer-songwriter from Nashville who has written songs for Her, the woman Her. So H-E-R, H.E. Yeah. So Ruby was fantastic, and her voice just really brought that song to life to me. The harmony she puts on that, I just absolutely love it.
Did Kate and Regina McCrary, did they add their vocals later, or were they in your headphones?
They came later and did all the stuff on a given day.
Okay.
So we did them all in a row.
That's just fantastic.
They've been around a long time, those gals, and they've been singing on all kinds of records, but they're just super down to earth people.
I just want to say this album has moved my heart. I wanted, I always wanted it to be good, but it moved me.
Good.
With his passion. I love the commitment that everybody gave to the songs. really, 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 really brought the song home.
Oh, nice. Good. Good. It's hard. I'm sure you've talked to a few artists who finish a record, and it's like for a while you hear, you get so inside it that you have no idea anymore. And then you just got to let it go. And then you got that uncomfortable few months where it's not out yet. You can't really play anything from it. And it's easy to kind of, anyway, it's nice to hear because all of us artists, you never really know. And it's, you put all this energy into it. And there comes a point where you just can't hear it anymore. You know what I mean? You gotta leave it alone.
You're overthinking it.
And
let the song.
Yeah, you just gotta. So I actually hadn't listened to my record for months until like just a few days ago.
Give me an example of a song that you thought was a throw-in or something that just barely made its way onto the album or a album that turned out to be one of our favorites.
Well, Into the Mystic, my version of Into the Mystic, we just about didn't do it. I did it twice. The first time we cut it was in LA, and I had Jim Keltner on drums, and everything should have been perfect. It should have been a slam dunk. But for some reason, the song didn't lift. And it was just like, so okay, forget it. We came back to Canada and realized we had to do a couple songs to get CanCon. We had to redo a couple songs. So we went into the warehouse and we did a day of tracking. I think we were only going to do 2 songs or 3 songs. And at the end of the day, it was 5:00 and it was the end of the day and everyone was tired. And I said, everybody, if you'll humor me, we're pretty much done. Would you mind if we gave Mystic a shot again? And no one had studied it. It was a complete surprise. No one that was there had played on the other version in LA. So this is a brand new band. It's Doug Elliott on bass from The Odds. It's Pat Stewart from Bryan Adams' band now on drums. It's like, and we cut it just about live. What you hear on that record is pretty much what we did there that day. The vocal, I think we replaced 4 vocal notes. And we put it on the song, 10th on the song, because we just thought, I'll just bury it in the back. It's a cover, and people might think it's sacrosanct to cover a Van Morrison song anyway, so just hide it, And next thing you know, it became the only song people remember on that record. So, I mean, that's an example of not knowing yourself. I end up getting a call saying, do you know that Mystic is like, everyone's playing Mystic? And I went, no, really? And now I can't get away without playing it anywhere. Yeah.
Are you finding warmth and friendship in America? Are they finally getting the message?
Slowly but surely. I mean, I've headlined 3 American blues festivals now.
Yeah.
That's more than I'd ever done before. And that's all in the last 2 years. I guess it's slow progress. We play more. I mean, I played LA, and we played just about 5 or 6 shows recently down in Southern California. It's work. I never know. It's always a little frightening. In September, we're off to, like, we're playing the Iridium in New York City, and we're playing the City Winery in Philadelphia. I think that's where we're playing. Milwaukee, and but my name is at least now. I got my first, nomination for a Blues Award in America 2 years ago. That was my first time ever after all these years. So slowly but surely, my name is getting more known in the blues world and abroad. And I'm really glad Lucinda sang on this song, because that'll be really helpful for me. I'm really glad she did that. And it's really, I'm touched because I'm a huge fan, and it really does make a difference, to get.
And if you're a fan of Lucinda Williams, you're going, okay, who's this guy? Who's she sitting in with?
Well, yeah, it's really exciting. And, we're only about 8 days into the single being out, and it's already got 30,000 spins on Spotify. And I don't know if that's great or okay, but I think Lucinda's name is helping that a little bit.
Two things. I'll go back to Doug Cox for a second. I was asking him about booking, who he wanted to book in Courtney Comox, and he said, "I want to go after the people who started movements. The problem is they're all passing away. The guys that I really want to book are the originals, and so we're losing generations of the originals. But you, people like you saw Muddy, you saw all these cats, you saw you in some cases you played with them. You're carrying on their legacy and their power and their voice. Do you feel that?"
I do. They're with me all the time. Like, there's not a day goes by I don't think, at one moment about Stevie or about Albert Collins or about all those players that were so individual in their style, like so their footprint was just so huge, and their artistic and the sound of what Albert Collins got out. Well, Albert King, I played a show with him very early on in my career and got to see him a number of times, and I'm still trying to figure out how he does it. Like, after all these years, you think, oh no, it's just that. No, it's never just that. And it's his whole life was that. And it's like, yeah, I feel that a lot, and especially when, sometimes blues has a bit of a, especially in the blues rock world, there's a bit of a, I don't know, a one-upmanship sports routine about the guitar aspect of it sometimes for me. And I sometimes feel that people get out of touch with the fact that, like, BB or Albert, or yeah, they played great guitar and they sang, but it was really not about one or the other. It was about both happening in sync together
and living the life.
But it's not all about the guitar. It's not all about, shredding. And I feel a lot of it's become this kind of guitar competition, and I've never really gone for that. It's not my thing. When you hear BB King play three things, and I don't want to sound like an old, but it's BB, and it's got soul. I think Stevie's one of the musicians who defied that, because he was so good and so able to do whatever his hands could do, and his brain would let his hands do, that he could be fast and all that stuff, but always brought the soul to the table, always, and I think that's something that gets lost once in a while.
So if you were walking through a market and you saw a 13-year-old, male or female, with a guitar playing and thing, would you expect to hear elements of your heroes, our heroes, in that music, or were they just fooling around? Well, does it get handed down from generation to generation?
Well, I think one thing the new generation has that we didn't have was that, you got the internet. I mean, you can see Albert Collins play Mount Fuji in Japan 8 times a day at will. I mean, my God, there was a Chuck Berry song when I was in my young, like 15, 16. I would go to every public library to look for a Chuck Berry record that I could not find anywhere that had a song called "Oh What a Thrill" on it. And I couldn't find it. I never did. I found it later. I found it like 3 years ago. I finally found it. That took me my whole life. So they have the advantage of that, so I hope, there's a lot of tools there now, for sure.
You're going to be running with this for a couple of years at least.
Yes.
But you've got the song. The fuel is here.
Good.
Is here, man. This is freaking-tastic. Change around some of the what starts, what finishes, what goes here, what goes there, all the pieces, and come together into a puzzle. Congratulations.
Thank you. I can't believe it's 21. I've been saying on the mic for the last 2 weeks that it's my 20th. So I'm missing one.
And have great fun at the P&E tonight. Okay. I have an off the record question to ask you. I'll leave you with this, and thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it, man.
Of course. Thank you, Terry. After how many years, man?
Lots.